I'm here for one person. But one person who is deep inside her that she's meant for more, can't seem to get on the other side. The one person who knows how powerful she is, and yet she feels so confined by where she is unsure of how to break free. The one person who dreams of a better life not only for her, for her family, but most importantly, for her children. I'm speaking directly to that one person because I know so young, I know the struggles and the power that burns within her. I know because that one person was me. Hi, I'm Libni, and once upon a time, I dreamt of being on the stage. Let me take you back to 4 years ago, where I was living at my parents' house under the staircase, just like Harry Potter, but without a magic wand to wave away the struggles and all the fears that I had. In those days, I would sit quietly in my journal and I would write down dreams which felt more like a delusion, a fantasy than possibilities. I wrote down there, maybe one day I'll have my own house, I'll drive my own car, maybe create an impact, or maybe travel the world and maybe marry the love of my life. Who knows? And, maybe one day I'll be in a TEDx stage. But my reality was so far from where I was. I had nothing. I had no savings. And I was a single mom with two babies, selling pastries just to get by. I had dropped out of med school and I felt like a failure and embarrassment, not only for me, for my family, but most painfully, for those two little set of eyes that were looking at me every day with hope and trust that I know the answers. Well, honestly, I didn't. But here's the thing, I wasn't ready to accept that story. Because somewhere deep inside me, I knew that there was something more. And it wasn't really about myself, it was really about my two babies because they deserve the bare minimum. With a show of hands, let me see who the mothers are here. You know what I'm talking about. They deserve to see their mother living in abundance. They deserve to see their mother thriving and not just surviving. There are nights where I camp and sit in that dark space and feeling the walls closing in. I said, like, this isn't really the life that I dreamt for myself. And there were also moments where I'd sit down and have this little glimpse of hope. Like I said, like, oh, there must be more for me then. So I was sitting there and I told myself that I must do something beyond what was presented. And while I was sitting there on my room, I saw this vision that I wasn't just surviving, I was living in abundance. A life where my children were also thriving. And that became my vision. It became my lifeline. I told myself that if I can see it in my mind, I can feel it in my heart, then I can hold it in my hands. But here's the truth. The person that I was at that time wasn't going to create me that life that I really wanted. I needed to become someone stronger and more courageous. And so I made a choice. And it was a very, very terrifying choice. I stepped out of the familiar, out of the comfort of what I knew was the safety. I chose to step into the unknown, both hands together, trembling. I said, I'm going to just trust myself. Just going to do this. So with every step, as I walk out of that house, I would always remember I was looking at my babies and I said, like, we're going to do this together. Just like every mom who's hoping for a better life for their children. So yes, doubt crept in, fear showed up. However, I didn't let those fears paralyze me. Instead, I used it as a fuel for me to push forward. Every time I wanted to turn back, I always chose to keep going. I chose to keep going even when the path was uncertain. And I chose to keep going even when my hands and my voice were shaking. And then each step, my belief in myself became bigger, my vision was clearer, and the noise outside was just really silent. So the question is, how did that single mother end up to the stage today? How did that person living under the staircase create impact through her contents, through her retreats, through her workshop, and create that global impact not only here in the Philippines, also abroad? The answer is very simple yet profound, and I know you guys know this. It starts with belief. And it's not just a belief in a very abstract sense, it's a belief in yourself, in your dreams, and in your vision. It's also in the belief in the power of the safe spaces. See, because of our environment, it plays a very huge role in where we are. If it's like just like a cell in the Chivo, if you're in a environment wherein you're nurtured, you're cared for, you'll really thrive. However, if you are in a toxic environment, you'll be what? You'll be stunted with your potential. So I said to myself that I knew that if I really wanted change in my life, I really needed to create a decision for myself. And so that environment with where I was wasn't going to lead me to where I really wanted to become. So I created a space for myself. So I pulled myself out of an environment where I felt really small, judged, and limited. I created my own space of solitude and introspection. Imagine like you're walking through this very thick fog, not knowing what lies ahead. However, you just kept walking because you know that at the end of this thick fog, there's a light awaiting for you. So that was my journey. And even when I was alone, I made a choice that if there is no space for me to be who I am, then I'll be my own safe space. In solitude, I surrounded myself with people with insights of those people who had already made it. I gathered all their belief and gathered all their belief and applied it in my life. And slowly, I applied it in my life and I grew. Little did I know that I was going beyond what was I imagined to be, and I completely became a different person. And that was when my life started changing. But the most profound shift happened when I realized that I wasn't alone. There were also other people who were going through the same path and who believed in themselves and in me. We built a circle of support where everyone was cheering on each other when even though all good, we would say like, come on, let's go, you can do it, you can do it. And I found my safety in those spaces. And because of those spaces, I was able to thrive. Now I want you to think about your own life. I want to ask you a question. Who is in your circle? Who believes in you and pushes you forward? And if you don't have that community yet, what is stopping you from building it? We created a safe space where we could thrive, where we can be ourselves, and gave us the permission to be who we are. And that's when everything changed. In one of the many retreats that I was in Australia, I met this fellow Filipina who was really quiet. She wasn't the talkative type. She told me that, you know what, Liv, I feel like if I talk, I don't offend other people. And all her life, she wasn't using her voice because she was so afraid. What we did during the retreat is we created this safe space where we allowed her and saw her and allowed her to just be herself without judgment. And from then on, magic happened. Her face started to brighten up, and the way that she was talking was really different. So for me, that really gave me a clue that safe spaces isn't really about the environment. It's about a space where you can be who you truly are, a place where you wouldn't be judged, a place where you can be yourself. And that's where the transformation begins. So I want you to close your eyes for a moment. And I want to ask a question for you. I want you to reflect for a moment on this question. What is holding you back? I want you to think of your decision in your life right now. Is it moving you closer towards your dreams? Or is it holding you back? Closing your eyes, I want you to just think about it and imagine choosing the path that moves you forward. Now, while closing your eyes, I want you to really see it, create that vision. Feel it right now and picture this in front of you. And if you want, you can write it down and be very specific. Make sure that it is yours because the clearer your vision is, the stronger your resolve will be to following it. Next, you can open your eyes now. Second, make the choice. Maybe things with many, many choices along the way. It's going to be scary. But here's the question that you have to ask. Is this decision going to make me closer to my vision? And if yes, take the action. Three, believe. It starts with your belief. Remember that everything you believe in becomes your reality because your mind will always find evidences to make it real. Fourth, surround yourself with the right people. Always remember that your beliefs become your reality. So you have to be very careful with the people that you surround with because they will be repeating what their beliefs are. Next is that take consistent action. Most people are stuck where they are because they're not taking action. Always remember that awareness is just potential power. Power comes from the choices and the action that you create after that awareness. So every time I wanted to turn back, I chose to keep going. And here's what I've learned along the way. The only difference where you are now and where you want to be is the courage to choose and the belief to act and the safe spaces that you surround yourself with. I'll take it. I'll share with you this power that I'm talking about. So with a raise of hands, who among you are inspired to take action after this talk? Great. Now, while raising your hands, I want you to look around the room. And whoever, I want you to lock eyes with that someone. And I want you to send your belief and receive that belief. Feel into the energy. Yes, it's funny. However, I really want you to feel through it. And I want you to know when you are surrounded with people who share the same belief, everything and everything is possible. Right? So now, that will be your permission piece. Believe that you can create the life that you dream of. If I could step out of the fear of the life that I once thought and only imagined, so can you. So as you leave here today, always remember this. The only difference between where you are now and where you want to be is the courage to choose, the belief to act, and the courage and the safe space to grow. Create that safe space for yourself and all the rest will follow. The journey from where I am now and where I have come from and where I am now isn't easy, I know. But because of my beliefs, my courage, and the safe space I created not only for myself and for others, my vision became a reality. Not in pieces, but fully realized. The car, the house, the impact, the travel, the abundant life, and finally marrying the love of my life. And most importantly, being on the stage. However, the most important one is the freedom of myself, the freedom of my mind, body, my spirit, and my soul. Ultimately, this journey has brought me here today in my greatest liberation, a full circle moment of making my dreams come true. And it's not only for me, it's also for those two little eyes that one day look up at me with hopes and trust that I can do it. And this is a proof that your dreams can come true. And this is a proof that you can have everything when you just keep walking. It's not only for mom, also for you. And so I want to remind you again that if you can see it in your mind, you can feel it in your heart, that you can hold it in your hands. I've been waiting for the longest time to finally say this for real. I am Libni, and thank you for listening to my TED Talk.